Welcome to the Growth Lab, where business ambition meets motherhood. I'm Luba, a mom of three, a self-made millionaire, speech-language pathologist, and founder of 2 clinics in sensory play gyms and a mobile therapy bus unit. Join me each week as we dive into what it takes to grow successful business, balance family, and create real impact. I'll share my hard-won insights and bring on inspiring entrepreneurs with stories you won't want to miss. Let's turn dreams into action, build with purpose, and thrive on our own terms. Welcome to the Growth Lab. Let's build, scale, and thrive together. Let's get this party started. Welcome back to the Growth Lab podcast. I'm your host, Luba Kaplan. And on today's episode, things are going to run a little different. And this is going to be an episode that you're not going to want to miss, especially if you're a student or curious about the world of speech-language pathology. We're sitting down today with Madelyn Simpson, a passionate speech-language pathology master's student from Salus University, now formerly known as Drexel University's speech program. She's right in the thick of her studies and dreaming big about her future in the field. From coursework to career goals, she's asking the real questions. And I'm here giving those unfiltered answers you all want to hear. Whether you're exploring the therapy space, wondering what it's like to run a private practice, or you just want a behind-the-scenes peek into what this career is really about, today's episode is for you. Let's dive into all things speech, business, and building a meaningful path forward right here on the Growth Lab. So welcome, Madelyn Simpson.
Hi, I'm so happy to be here.
Hey, girl, hey.
Thanks for having me.
I'm so excited to have you. I've been talking with the director of the speech language pathology program, and I said to him, I think it would be so cool to share, what a fellow local speech language pathologist is up to. And then it really hit me. I'm like, why don't we just ask the students? Like maybe they have questions, maybe they want to. And it kind of turned into this idea for an episode. So I so appreciate you being here. We're going to turn the tables to you. I know you said you're a first year speech language pathology graduate student, correct?
Yeah.
Where did you do your undergrad?
I got my Bachelor's of Science in Speech Language Pathology and Audiology from the College of New Jersey, where I also minored in Deaf Studies.
Okay, that's very similar to my undergrad. I also have it. It's in communication sciences and deaf disorders. So similar. Well, the mic's on you now, girl. You can ask me whatever you want. The spotlight's for you.
All right. Well, what is to not ask? I have many questions, but I narrowed it down to some. But I want to say congratulations to 10 years on your business. That's a huge milestone.
Thank you so much. It's been 10 years. It's a long time, and I've definitely grown a lot, but I so appreciate it because I'm happy to show people that this is possible.
Yeah, you definitely are an inspiration. I know me, and I can't speak for all graduate students in this position, but I know a lot of people look to hoping to have a private practice at some point in the future. So my first question is, when you were starting your private practice, how did you navigate the setup? Like what sort of resources did you need, like logistically, funding, or how many clients did you have before you started your business?
This is a very, very good question. It's actually very interesting because it wasn't a typical, I didn't go into the situation with the notion that, hey, I'm going to be a clinic owner. When I was in my studies for speech pathology, I was working, and at the time in the state of Pennsylvania, you were not able to be an SLPA. So I was what was called an SI, a special instructor, an itinerant teacher. I was studying and finishing my master's and simultaneously working as an SI. So I came encounter with many speech pathologists. I was like one foot in the door. I got to experience a lot of different kiddos, work on goals in their IEP. It was very relative to what I was doing in school. At that point, I was like, why do I need a middleman when I can take my own clients and do this myself and kind of navigate this myself? So that was the first step. And I didn't know anything. I didn't know where to begin with it. So that's where the research started. And again, I still at this point in my mind is just like, well, I'm going to own a business. I want to be the owner. But there were no understanding of how this will look. Will I have a location? Am I just going to be on the road? and I couldn't afford a location. So I was just like in my car doing the 1099 type of deal, driving around.
Yeah.
So that was how it started out. And then I was able to practice it on myself. And it was similar to the model that I knew from working at a company as a special instructor. And I started to interview people at local coffee shops and essentially tell them, like, this is what I do day to day. I see children. I travel to daycares and homes. You know, if this is something you're interested in doing, this is how your day to day would look. Here's the contract, and start working. And slowly I think the first year, I think there were 4 of us,
Mhm.
and each of us had maybe 5 to 10 kids, something like that. And that's kind of how it started. So I had 5 to 10 clients, but I also was responsible for, you know, submitting all the payroll and billing out all the stuff they were working. So I did everything, but the start was about 5 to 10 kids and 4 staff members. But you don't need that. Like, if you have the means or you take out a loan today, you could get yourself a little tiny place or rent in an industrial business complex, a small office that's just one room, and you can start that way too. So there's different ways to begin. I think you just have to have the will,
Yeah.
and that's what matters the most.
Yeah. Well, I was going to ask that next. Like, what did you see in yourself in terms of like will, like you were saying, like you had the ability and the knowledge to develop this business?
I think that, so prior to even going for my master's, I actually worked in several marketing jobs, and I used to go to these, like, you know, post-college, they placement companies for small contracts for administrative jobs, marketing jobs, and they would just put me in different corporate settings and I would do work there. And I was always a very fast worker. No matter what I did, I was able to get through things at a fast pace. I wasn't the type of person that could get really stuck. And if I did get stuck, I would ask questions to get myself out. So I was like, okay, I'm capable to figure things out. Like, I don't need assistance like that. I can make a phone call. I can research online. I can ask someone sitting next to me. So I started to be able to understand my own ability, that I wasn't afraid to step outside of something I didn't know. If it wasn't right in front of me, I would figure it out. And just being able to, like, navigate things that quickly. When I went to work at another company, I was able to kind of figure out the model. Okay, so this is how they get the client. This is how this works in the method I went initially, which was all early intervention. And I think that with everything that I've done from then, I've been able to just believe in myself that if I come to a barrier, I just have to stop, figure out, like, what it is. Like, what is the question in front of me that needs to be solved? Okay, what steps do I need to work now to answer this question for myself? Is it picking up the phone and calling the state of Pennsylvania and being like, what's the status of XYZ? Is it obtaining a new contract? Is it getting a credential with an insurance? Like, each piece, depending on how you want to work, there's available information. You just have to understand where to start. So you need to ask yourself, what is the problem? Like, what am I working on?
Yeah.
And then give yourself steps to get there.
Yeah, that's great advice because I think a lot of us in graduate school sometimes feel like a number because there's
Yeah.
just so much information being thrown at you. Like there's grades and deadlines you need to meet. It's hard to, at this point, like find what in yourself, like in your personality and like what you're capable of to have the confidence to start a business, put yourself out there.
Is that something that you think about? Do you want to start a business, or
I
have
think
you
so
had any
at some
experience
point.
right now with populations?
Yeah, so it's a little bit of everything. I'm not really too sure at this point in my career, like what population or setting I would like to work in. I know a lot of my colleagues can say the same thing because some of us are working with kids and adults at the same time. We have an on-site clinic, which has been the greatest experience in our first year, like second week of classes, fresh out of undergrad. They're like, all right,
You
we're going to
in.
go treat some clients.
That's
So
awesome, though.
yeah, it has been really great. And then following the summer semester, we'll be all off-site in our internships. But yeah, it's definitely a dream in the future to have a business, to be able to work for myself, you know, like make my own sort of
Careful what you wish
schedule.
for. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny because when you said that and I look back, I like if I close my eyes and think back, oh my God, I remember first year, I definitely had no idea like what I was going to do with it. And
Yeah.
what I liked always about speech pathology and how I even got here is I knew that there were many pathways. Like, so you graduate and you really could work in a lot of different ways and some very out of the box, including like there's speech pharma drugs that people sell. And I'm like, you went to master's program to sell speech pharma drugs, but like that's what works for that person because they
Yeah.
have a nice background and they can talk to patients and offices. But the point is there's so many avenues and you really need to find within yourself like what's for you. Because when I was in my one of my clinics or my clinical fellow, I don't remember now which one it was, but I remember that I was in a skilled nursing setting. And while I love children, I have 3 children, I love people generally. That point, I really was attached to clinic, like the skilled nursing.
Yeah.
I loved it. I loved being able to research. It's a little bit of a different feeling when you're working with adults because
Hmm.
children, there's often very play based unless they have some serious diagnoses. But a lot of it is like play or tick and working on that type of thing to build skills. With adult, it's often post the loss of skills. So you're rebuilding because they've had a situation like a traumatic brain injury or a stroke. Like things happen to elderlies.
Yeah.
And when I was in that setting, and it was a lot of, liquid changes, diet changes, and some vocal stuff, and then, of course, memory, cognitive stuff. So it was completely different. And I would fall in love with these 85-year-old people that were literally what I felt like youngsters trapped in an older body, like
Hmm.
sideways cap and all. Did you catch the baseball game? Whatever. But I was not able to continue in that setting because here today, gone tomorrow. Like a couple of times residents died on me that I
Yeah.
was with like the day before and they were fine. And then the next morning I come in and they were had passed away. And I couldn't do it. That would for me, that was very difficult. Not that pieces of pediatrics weren't difficult. When I was starting, I was driving into very, very bad neighborhoods because nobody was willing to go, but I was willing. At the time,
Hmm.
I didn't have a family or kids. I wasn't married. I was like, go for it. And there were also severely underprivileged families there with no furniture, no toys. And I remember myself coming to the car crying many times because it's just such an emotional thing to see. You're coming into someone's complete environment and you're like, this is how people are living.
Yeah.
And all you can do is come there to help them, like help these children speak or normalize their developmental delays. But your heart breaks for what's happening. Not to get all emo, I'm getting super emotional. Like I said, there's so many different paths. And thinking back to first year, I know like that's such a challenging question to ask you, but you will in time find your place. And
Hmm.
mine changed. I always love kids, but I did for a minute think I was going to go the adult route. And I do get sometimes called in for special situations to check out an adult. And I love it, but pediatrics is my space.
Yeah. Yeah, it is, I'll say it's difficult like as a graduate student when you're taking, like speech sound disorders in ages 0 through 5 and also taking dysphagia at the same
Oh
time.
yeah. Oh yeah.
And it's
It's a
like,
completely different world.
yeah, two totally opposite ends of the spectrum. But like you were saying, I think a lot of us we don't realize in this field, which is something that is like a barrier a lot of us are breaking in graduate school, is like being total empaths, and it is a difficult field to go into if you are, like an empath, like me and like you. Like it can be heartbreaking at times, but I think some of the biggest lessons that we learn in graduate school is not only like learning all the information we need to know, but how can we be a good clinician and learning things like about ourselves too.
You grow a lot. You
Yeah.
experience. You can't make it up. When you know those like true life shows, a species world, whatever it is definitely an interesting one. I mean, there's
Hmm.
just so many avenues, but they haven't created it yet. Maybe we will.
Yeah. So back on the like business side of it, how do you best network yourselves? Like I know this famous baker, Gwendolyn Rogers, she like sends her cakes to famous people and like that's how she gets her name out. What is like your go-to way of networking?
What an awesome idea, Gwendolyn. You're a
Yeah.
genius. Um, so I think that when you are in a position to open a business from the start, it doesn't matter what type, you need to be prepared to put yourself out there.
Hmm.
So whether that means getting on your Facebook Live and being like, hey, which I have done over the years in my various clinics, if you look back, I'll be like, hey, this is like the new chalkboard I painted on yesterday, and talking through like my offerings, what I'm doing, how I'm doing, presenting yourself. Because first and foremost, people need to fall in love with you and build rapport with you.
Yeah.
And that's how they're going to trust you. A lot of families that come to Kidology have encountered with myself, are familiar with me or my work. So really putting yourself out there and marketing, you have to be your own billboard. You really do,
Mhm.
because who's going to advertise you better than yourself? You know your product, you have the heart for what you're doing. So really getting out there and talking about what you're doing. Now in the age of social media, and right now too, like I want to say since the winter, we started a social media campaign because we wanted people to know what we're doing. I feel like
Yeah.
sometimes people have an understanding that their child needs something, but they don't know what, or they're a first time parent and they don't know how to get what they need. So we started to showcase, this is what we do. This is how you can get it. This is where you can call and have people understand what occupational therapy can look like, what speech therapy can look like. So utilizing your social channels,
Hmm.
get it out there. So we don't send cakes, but anyone who's part of Kidology, I know that we love to really support our client base, our community, and we'll do a lot of different events. And in those events, we give out shirts and different swag, promotional stuff, pens, stress balls, stickers with our name on it. Most recently, I bought and changed over a bus. It's a half bus, and it became our Kidology like speech therapy mobile unit.
That's
And it's
awesome.
amazing. It can be, driven around to different locations, parked. People can go inside and have therapy or evaluations in there. So
Mhm.
that's been a good marketing tool for us as well. So I think that those three things have been a big driver for Kidology personally, but we're always thinking and trying to come up with new ideas in which we can expand our reach by letting people know, what's out there in terms of what we offer.
Yeah, I think the bus, that's awesome. I would love to see. I know we talked about like you possibly bringing it here to do the podcast from there, but because of the weather, it's like been
It's like,
so
yeah,
hot.
but I will bring it by and, hopefully you'll be there that day. Or
Yeah,
next
totally.
event, you're welcome to join. I'll let you know and you can come street team with us.
Of course. I would love that. I think for a lot of us, especially for me, if I am in the trenches, I'm feeling like there's no future ahead. I'm just like drowning in paperwork and wondering, like, having imposter syndrome. Like, is this for me? It really helps to hear a story from someone as successful as you about a similar experience you went through. Was there a time when you were in
Oh
graduate
man.
school?
So even back to grad program, well, first of all, also, I think it was in the second year already of my grad program, I was expecting my first child. So, or already had my first child. Yeah, the second year, or like right at the finish, I had already had a child.
Hmm.
And that came with its own struggles too. And I remember having classes at like 9 o'clock at night and crying to my parents, like, I want to bathe my baby. Mom's like, just finish your class and you'll bathe your baby tomorrow. But imposter syndrome is a feeling that comes in so many waves. When you're studying, it's difficult to place the information sometimes because you're reading it in a book or you're watching a video and you're not directly experiencing it at
Yeah.
most of the points until you're like clinical. Um, so sometimes you might be reading it and you're like, what am I doing? This is so much anatomy. Like, who needs this? I'm measuring, vocals. Like, what is happening?
Yeah.
And at the moment, you don't feel like it's useful or you want to give up because it seems very hard. But like at the craziest time, 6 years later, you're gonna be like, whoa, like I learned this and I know what to do. And it just pops up. And it wasn't something I used all the time, but this day I needed it and I remembered it, something like that. So that's the education side. So definitely don't ever feel, and drowning in the papers and the work. It's hard, but it's school. You're
Yeah.
educating to become something greater. You already have the heart, you need the piece of paper. So like,
Yeah, exactly.
just race to the finish and let's do that. But then the next part comes. So you have to, in speech pathology, everybody that's a grad has to then complete a 9-month clinical fellowship year
Hmm.
to become licensed. aside from your boards, of course. So you need your boards, your master's degree, and the CFY time. But the CF is really your first true experience, like working on your own. And you have to have guts, because if you are coming into your CF with the expectation that Susie Q, your speech pathology supervisor, is going to be sitting with you and helping you, you are very wrong. No one's coming to help you. Like, and what I try to tell my CFs too is, I'm here to support you. Call me. You run into something. I can't physically be with you all day. I can't. But luckily at Kidology, we have a very large team. The speech department is the biggest one we have. So there's just so many people to, like, shoot the ideas off of and talk about your cases. So if you run into something where you're like, I feel like I have no idea what to do, don't feel that imposter syndrome. What you do is, like what I used to do, I would call it like wall ball. I would think about, okay, how can I potentially, first mindset is like, how do I go about working on X goal with this kiddo to get him to his target? Then when it's not working for 9 weeks, you're like, oh my God, but you need to be able to switch things up. But you just literally taking the ball and you're tossing it at the wall. Every new experience with that child is a chance for you to see what will work. Last week, sounds in isolation didn't work. This week, heavy hands-on, heavy repetition, whatever. Next week, game around it. The following sticker stuff, the following bubbles. These are just silly examples. I'm not getting into the depths of what you're doing. But the idea is something new all the time. While you're consistently working, you're still doing something new. So if you're ever feeling down, like I remember a couple times, like I'm writing notes and I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like there's no progress. But then that's like that following week, that's when the change comes and the parent comes and they're calling you or texting you like, I have a video because Susie said whatever you were working on and she started to say this sound and she called me and she never said mom before. And then you're like, yes, like fulfillment that you wait for, because you've now granted a family a way to communicate with their child. Satisfaction. The child is turning a new page in their story. And it's just so worth it for those many times along the way that you felt like, no, I don't know. You didn't give up. So don't give up. And when you don't give up, there will come a point where there will be change. And hey, not every client is for every provider. And if over a certain amount of time, you give yourself that timeline, it's not working. It's not you, it's not imposter. It's just that maybe that you guys aren't jiving.
Yeah.
Someone else, a different style. Every provider has their own style. It's not something that's going to be taught to you. You'll pick it up as you go. You'll create your own way to work with people. So it's important also to find your person. So like when kids come to Kidology, and it doesn't happen often, but sometimes if a parent's like, I really am not seeing it, and the provider feels defeated, we make a change, and then guess what? Things change. Or maybe that provider was really close. So, there's a variety of situations. I know that wasn't like just a direct story, but it's so many times that I felt like that. And it's not just you. Everybody feels this. So you have to work with yourself to get past it and not give up.
Yeah, I think being flexible is like easier said than done, but definitely something that you have to give yourself like grace that comes with time.
The more experience you have, the better provider you are. The faster you can recognize things, the faster you can evaluate, the faster that you can maybe meet your goals. But you're also working with someone else. So it's not just about you. You need to be able to figure out the way to work with that person. So if someone comes in and you're used to like, doing Arctic extremely loud, and this kid is like, oh my God, I can't censor, you're not going to be able to work that way anymore. You have to change your method. But you're skilled, so you'll learn to intertwine what you're doing to modify it to the different children that you're working with and their skill levels.
Yeah, I almost wish we had a course like kind of like this. Maybe it didn't even have to count as a credit or something, but a course where we talk about things like this, that every provider, whether you're in speech, OT, PT, seems to go through these same sort of things,
It's a real thing.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that story or all that advice. It does help to know,
of course,
that others are going through the same thing. How do you stay so organized? Because, I know you're handling a lot of people and aspects of your business?
Well, organization, and it's actually not my strong area. I've grown and I'm getting better with it every day, I will say. I think that now, because there's so many pieces, I have to make sure that nothing's overlapping in my schedule. The front desk is calling me. They're like, send your dates for the next month. We have people that want, because I do still see clients. It's not as much, but now that I became certified in myofunction therapy, that's a big thing happening in our office, and it's only me right now. So I have to work. So I think that really keeping a clean schedule and planning ahead. So I'll get on the phone with my office. They'll be like, there's people that want to come now for July or whatever. Can you send us dates for July? So then I will block out right off the bat anything that I definitely cannot do. So that's blocked off. Then I'll look into the time slots that I do have. Then I have to check the podcast calendar, make sure I don't have anything on the podcast calendar. So like all of these things have to intertwine together, and to make sure that I'm literally have space for everything and nothing is overlapping and nothing is like on the wrong day. In the past, I've missed stuff. I had it on the wrong day or whatever. So it's not just myself. I have me and 2 other people that are helping me from different sides to ensure that my calendar is in check. So that's the first thing. Then now I've been taught from a very good mentor that I now have, and I've never in all these years had a mentor, but now I do. And she really spoke to me about making sure that the day before the following day, so every day before the next day, I either fully review if I can see it in my calendar. Sometimes it's so busy that I have to write it out on a different piece of paper or an index card. And that allows me to plan appropriately. Oh, I have to be somewhere at 8:30. So I have to get up enough time ahead, beat traffic, whatever, like all the considerations. Because it's truly a juggle. I'm literally a clown with 5 balls and I'm like trying to get everything done. And when I'm in the office, I keep a very strict to-do list. We have like quarterly reviews with providers that I sit in on. I'm not on all the meetings, but I meet with upper team and then I get all of the information from everyone. And then on the occasion, there's somebody in the therapy team or somebody from a different tier that wants to speak with me, so we have to accommodate that stuff too. But I keep an ongoing to-do list every weekday, and then as I finish things, I like to physically write it. It's not online. I physically write it, and then I cross things off as I'm done to give me that like satisfaction as well, like good job. It's over. So there's several moving pieces, and before I didn't have it so structured, and I think that I was like, my children were smaller, I was more tired. I'm still tired a lot of the time, but I've learned to like, my smallest son is 3.5 and he still wants to sleep with us. He struggles to sleep without us. So when I really need a good night's sleep, I have to go sleep in his room because he's in my room and he's like and turning. But getting a good night's rest is part of being organized too. It's better you wake up feeling like yourself, the more likely you are to like get all your targets done, be in a better mood, finish everything, and be structured. So I follow all those things. I highly recommend writing everything down visually. I'm a visual learner. I need to see what I'm doing, not just hear it. And when I map it out, I have things in my calendar in my phone. I have a printed calendar for every month also. And people laugh like, why do you need 2? I need 2. I need to see it. Then I have another calendar at my desk in my office at headquarters. I write everything in there too. So now I'm like, it's just excessive, but it really keeps me on track. There's just too much. I do a lot in a day. And then the days that I'm like totally burnt out, to stay structured, I give myself time off. Like I'll be like, I'm done today at 3:00. No one call me. Even though I get home and immediately check my email because I'm crazy, but I just don't want to miss anything. But that's the truth. Just a lot of structure, to-do lists, and now prepping before the next day, which is a game changer for me.
Yeah, that's great advice. It is a lot to navigate. And I'm like you too. I mean, when I get home, I'm trying to have some relaxation time, but my email is still on.
It's fighting you. You're like, I gotta do this and that and that. But it's super important to prioritize your you time, especially as a student as well, because your brain is all the time on overload. You're learning so much information. A lot of it's brand new. And when you're learning new things, you really need to allow yourself time to just like absorb it rather than continuously feeding. It's just too much. And I think people today, it's just more information than we've ever been open to. Like just like the videos. And sometimes at night I want to unwind. So I like go to my phone a little bit, and that's a mistake.
Yeah.
Then I'm falling asleep. The phone's like falling on me. I think we've all been there. I feel very overwhelmed because I want to look at stuff and people are on vacation and I want to see. And like,
Yeah.
while it's a great outlet to just really unwind and decompress, it wires you up and you're kind of doing the reverse.
I know that's something I really need to get better at because comparison is killer. And
That too.
yeah, just, oh my gosh, all these people that I went to undergrad with that didn't go to school for masters, they're out in their full-time job, living their life, going on vacations, and I'm sitting in the library for 10 hours on a Wednesday.
It will all pay off, and you need
Yeah.
to just believe that because you're here for a reason.
So, kind of like my last wrap it up question, what would you tell your past graduate student self if you could go back and talk to her?
Loaded one.
Yeah, it's pretty loaded.
So I cried a lot in grad school.
Me too.
I cried a lot there. It was just really hard. I felt like it was so hard. People really undervalue and underestimate, like, speech language pathologist is a serious career. You're not just I hate this one, speech teacher. You're not just a speech teacher. You can make a lot of difference. And I think that if I could go back and talk to myself, there were definitely times like you that I felt like I was missing out because people were doing other things. I also was on a different path. I originally went to school for broadcast journalism. I graduated in 3 years. I took 2 years to work and live in New York and do stuff. And I had an undergrad in linguistics prior to. I just didn't want to go back for my speech degree then. But I already knew that I was going to do that eventually. I just like loved linguistics. And a couple of friends were graduating with speech. So I was doing my grad program several years later. Like, it wasn't the same age bracket as you are right now, probably.
Yeah.
I had already had an undergrad. I got a second undergrad and then went for my master's for speech. Yes, I have 2 bachelor's degrees. But I think that I would slow down. I would not worry about who, what, where, when, how, why.
Yeah.
And just worry about myself. And at the time, nobody was like offering me to do self-care and relax when I'm in school. Like, I was working, I was trying to be an SI, I was trying to finish grad school, I was having a kid and getting married. Like, I had a lot going on. And I survived. And you will also survive. And thrived.
Yeah.
You have to believe in yourself. And maybe like what I didn't do that then and that I would recommend you and other people do is really take a minute. Because right now you're in like, I'm in school. I'll figure out where I'm going to work. I'll figure it out. You need to start thinking where you might want to be, whether you want to come and observe at Kidology or go to a hospital. Give yourself an opportunity out, and you have your clinic at school, but give yourself an opportunity to see what's out there now earlier on and start laying that footwork for yourself. So if you love a hospital and you really want to make a name for yourself there, start going there, start talking to the right people there, learn about the department for speech there, and prepare yourself so that when the time comes, you can work there and get your job because they're going to know you and they're going to trust you because you've already made a presence there. And what I've learned now as I'm hiring CFs and we get a lot of clinic students and stuff is that a lot of them stand out and those are the ones that we want to hire. So I wish somebody would have told me that then. And for me, it was, I guess, a different path and a different story. But regardless of where you go and how you go, if you begin to prepare early on, you're more likely to get there faster and without all the craziness.
Yeah.
Smooth path. So that's my advice to you. Start thinking where you want to go.
Yeah, well, I would love to come visit Kidology. I mean,
You have to.
I would love to. I have definitely heard of it before. And then when I realized you were the owner and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm talking to Luba, the owner of Kidology. I was like talking to some of my other grad students about it. And I was like, do you guys know Kidology? Because everybody's pretty local. And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, well, that's who I'm going to be on the podcast with. They're like, oh my God, no way.
That's awesome.
Definitely we can set something up because I know a lot of people would love to see the bus even or come to Kidology.
Do you have any other questions for me?
I don't think so.
This was awesome.
Yeah.
I love it because it's one thing because I've been in your shoes, you know? And I I wish I had someone then to mentor me, because I feel like I had a lot of questions and I don't feel that there was so much support. I even remember like when I was trying to navigate my clinical fellowship. Okay, so I went to Nova Southeastern University
Mm-hmm.
for my grad school. And I remember like I got my boards, I'm like ready for my CF. And they're like, congrats, bye. Like you graduated, your diploma will be conferred or whatever. I'm like, so what am I supposed to do now? She's
Yeah.
like, you have to find yourself a placement for clinical fellowship. I'm like, how do I do that? So I went to ASHA and they had this like chutes and ladders style, I don't know if they still have it at the time, printout of like, here you are here, like in the mall, you are here.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, you've now graduated, so what next? And it was this little like pathway to
Mm-hmm.
your license. And I followed all these instructions on that. That's how I got my CF. I didn't know what to do, what to submit, how to submit. I feel like now it's easier. It has its own complications, but I feel that the schools definitely don't help that part. So if there's anyone who's graduating and needs help to navigate like getting a CF or whatever it is, I am so happy to help you. Or somebody who works I'm licensed also in Florida. And the beautiful thing about being speech pathologist is that you can get your license in many states. You just have to
Mm-hmm.
resubmit your information. You don't have to take any additional tests.
Mm-hmm.
So if anyone's out there also that wants to maybe try working in a different state or needs license help or whatever, like feel free to reach out. My email is luba@kidologyinc.com. That is the company that I own, aside from being on this amazing podcast, the
Mm-hmm.
Growth Lab podcast. But yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well, that's awesome. I didn't know you were licensed in Florida.
yeah. In COVID, I got it because a lot of my kiddos started to go travel. You cannot practice even online in any state unless you have a license.
Yeah. That's the dream, to move to Florida.
Yeah. Oh, that's amazing. Are you born and raised in Philly?
Yeah, I was born in Philly. I'm pretty much lived in New Jersey my whole life, but I did live in Florida for a little bit in undergrad because I did the Disney college program, and
Oh, that's cool.
the dream is to go back. So I know Florida's part of the like state licensure pact where you can like have your license in Pennsylvania and it's still valid in Florida. Like you just have to submit your information again, like you said.
Yes. Yes. Awesome. Well, I wish you so much luck. I'm here for
Thank
you if you
you.
need anything. And any, graduates out there in speech pathology, occupational therapy, physical therapy, at Kidology, we do offer all of those services and behavior services. And we're happy to have you come in. You can observe, you can clinically work with us, you can get a tech job with us. And then ultimately, when you graduate, we'd love to see you working with us. We are expanding and growing between our bus, and hopefully we'll have a downtown Philadelphia location soon. There'll be information about that soon. But thanks everybody so much for tuning in. I hope this was helpful, informative, and made you feel better. If you're
Yeah.
suffering from imposter syndrome or whatever it is real. And it's been awesome talking to you all. Thank you again, Madelyn. Give us a like. Tune in next time to the Growth Lab podcast, and see you later.
Thank you.